Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of HHC Live. Here is in a half court. This is episode number 13. I am Chris. I'm here with my brother Jake. I'm here with my brother Josh. Jake, how you doing this morning?
Doing pretty good. I'm ready for my spring break.
Exactly right. Josh, how you feeling?
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I'll be working all spring break.
Yeah, but like they said, it is spring break time here in Texas, and all-star break time as well for the NBA, right? So we're happy to be here this morning. We're happy to have a place to talk some Spurs ball. The name of the episode this week, All-Star Weekend of Reflection. So unfortunately, our San Antonio Spurs don't have anybody participating in the game tonight. So instead of being able to talk, Spurs and their inclusion in the weekend, we'll just have to be able to talk about some of the things that we saw our team and how we've been playing leading into the break, and kind of have some larger scale discussions this week for you guys. So excited for that. All right, so the way that we normally do this is we start by looking backwards. We'll spend the first half of the show talking about the week that was, and then we'll kind of move forward and start to preview guys for what's coming up. Okay, so with that being said, let's jump right into it. Or actually, I guess up top, let me throw this up here. Just to highlight our social medias real quick, we are at our Twitter account at Heroes Half Court. It's been a lot of fun. I feel like our engagement has been picking up a little bit over the past week or so. I'm really trying to get in more with Spurs Twitter, so it's been fun getting in there and just talking a lot of basketball. So go ahead and give us a follow over there if you're down to kind of hear us talk about some Spurs on Twitter as well. And then we do go live every Sunday at 10 a.m. On our Facebook channel, on our YouTube channel, and through Periscope. Those things might be in flux here moving forward, but just be on the lookout. We'll keep you guys informed. So thanks to anybody who's maybe watched us more than once, right? We do have a handful of people who are kind of the usual crew that check in with us on Sunday mornings. Thanks for that. And yeah, we appreciate it. All right, guys. So now let's jump in. Right, we had 3 games for this past week. We started the week with an overtime game in Brooklyn, and then we followed that up with, I believe it was the next day, against the New York Knicks. Right, so back to back against Brooklyn and New York, and then we finished it off in our rematch, and I also believe it was the season series finale against OKC. Ended the week 1-2. 1-2. This is I can't really remember too many weeks that we ended the week with a negative record. So at least that's a good thing, right? But I don't know. Jake, let's start it off. Like, overall, what are your thoughts on how we played for the week? You can get as specific or as general as you'd like.
Yeah, the overall week was pretty, I guess, meh, because the beginning of it, I was like, man, this was a solid start. We went 1-1. I couldn't get too crazy mad with the loss against Brooklyn, just because we were fighting so hard in that fourth quarter. But at the same time, I wasn't exactly the happiest with how we lost, I guess. And then the New York game, it was just the Knicks game, it was just the Knicks games, and we beat them. We just took care of business, and we actually won a back-to-back for the one time, even though we still went 1-1 in a back-to-back. But
yeah.
Then that second half, that Thunder game, I loved it and immediately hated it. It was rough after that first, I would say the first quarter and half of the second quarter, maybe most of the second quarter, but I still just wasn't happy with that entire game all overall. And so that's why it went from a solid week to this was not that great of a week, and we need to improve on some things coming into this after this break.
Yeah, sure. Josh, what do you feel?
I mean, yeah, my prediction, right? I said we were going to go 2-1. So the loss that I had was to Brooklyn. So I'm not going to get too down on that. They're a really good basketball team, even though our guys fought hard. Sent us to overtime. We didn't play too good in overtime. So we took that L. We bounced back with a nice dub and in San Antonio, right? But against New York. And I was kind of expecting that. And, it was kind of nice seeing our guys play. That was a game that I thought we should win easily. So it was nice handled our business, fairly easily. I forget what we ended up winning by. And then, that OKC game, it was just a downer, man. I feel like everybody was off. It was like, and I know, Chris, you talked about it on Twitter a lot, right? DJ's comments. So I was looking forward to that. I was hoping that we would come out like really good, and play really good basketball, especially how we lost the previous game to those guys. And we just looked a little flat. Like Jake said, like the second half, we looked super flat, and it was kind of disappointing. But, I guess we're going to have those games every now and then. We haven't had too many games where we've looked like that, like just felt like, oh, this game, we're going to lose this game. Like, we haven't had too many of those. So it's good to not have those, but it's bad to see it. When you're watching it, it's horrible to watch.
Yeah. I always think about like Sean Elliott always says, morning, Ryan. Thanks for checking us out.
So, Punk.
Sean Elliott always says like the same things that'll make you laugh will make you cry, right? He always says stuff like that. But yeah, so I would agree. Sloppy is kind of how I would characterize the week in general. And it is a little disappointing because, man, when I think about the last 2 years, I feel like we were just, what's the word I'm searching for? We were like, man, just like desperately needing that break, the All-Star break. It was like we were sliding into that All-Star break. Like, man, just give us a second to kind of regroup a little bit. And so this week, it felt like, okay, we're kind of a little bit more in control of the way we're playing. We're a little bit more like, we have the opportunity to go into the break feeling a certain kind of way, and we're sitting like, even though the seedings, I try not to hit them too much because we can just dance around so much. Oh, we've said that so many times this year. But at the time, we're like sitting around the 5th seed, and so we're feeling pretty good. And then it was like the All-Star snub talk starts to happen. Then we finish the week on a 1-2, which pushes us down to the 7. So it did kind of put a damper on how I think Spurs Nation overall felt like leading into the break. You know what I mean? But yeah, same. Really, really, really sloppy ball. I'm a little bit more critical on the Brooklyn loss than maybe it sounds like you guys are, and mainly just because, yes, we played sloppy in the overtime, and we had, but I feel like people are forgetting, like, prior to that little surge we had at the very end, we were playing pretty bad to finish the game. You know what I mean? Like, we were in a position to lose that game until people just started hitting a bunch of threes and pushed us into overtime. You know what I mean? So, yeah. So overall was like you said, a little meh for the week, but we'll see how we move forward. So starting with that Brooklyn, or I guess I'll just keep it going. Yeah, man. Like when it came to just like the thing that I hated seeing the most when it came to Brooklyn was like, how many times can we watch like James Harden get like a high screen and roll? We've seen him do it in Houston all the time. Or just try to break somebody off of the dribble, but he's doing it so far away from the basket, that it's just putting us in those positions, right? Like where you see all of our guys crowding the 3-point line, which opens up that paint so wide for him. And then how many times was it just like a drive, one kick? You know what I mean? Just like we saw Dort make that game-winning 3 the first time we played OKC. You know what I mean? It's like it's those things that I'm just like wondering, like, I don't know why don't we do more of those kind of things if it's just positioning, right? It's just where you're standing on the court. Why can't we just spread out ourselves a little bit more? I don't know. Are you guys on? Go ahead.
Yeah, I just feel like it's hard for us to do that because we don't have those type of players that we want.
Yeah,
we talk about.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
we don't have.
Yeah,
we have shooters. We have shooters, but like whenever James Harden comes off that pick and roll, the big man is always the threat. I feel like that's the biggest threat because how many times do you see him make the lob? Jakob will grab that ball and go straight back down with it and try to lay it up. He's not at like alley-oop. We do not have that type of player. And maybe and Drew Eubanks, I mean, he has the athleticism, but he's like kind of smaller of big man. So whenever James Harden comes off, I think the first thing he looks for is the alley-oop. And all he does is throw that thing, like he just throws that thing up. Like they have DeAndre Jordan and then the kid that surprised me, I forget, we talked about it the other day, the blonde-haired kid, the big man.
Nicholas Claxton.
Yeah, dude, that guy was killing us too, like just around the rim. So we don't have that guy. Like we don't. And I feel like if we had that guy, that's one more thing the defense has to worry about, where he's not sucking somebody in. Because I mean, a lot of the times, how many times do you see it, James Harden alley, like Like, I mean, Jakob got posterized.
Yeah, and they did put him in the blender a little bit because he also Harden was also going in there, and if Yak would sit back, was just throwing floaters, and was getting So I understand what you're saying.
Have that guy because I feel like that big man is a big piece. Like it opens up the 3-point, like just the presence of that big man, and like I feel like you've seen Jakob. Like how many times we were like, dump the damn ball, Jakob. Just dunk it. Like he doesn't, and I don't even think I've ever seen him finish an alley-oop. I don't even know if he ever thrown him an alley-oop.
I don't think we've ever thrown an alley.
He might have like 1 or 2 on his career, resume somewhere. But I don't know.
Toronto, if anything,
I'm just thinking more of like maybe you can't throw the lob, but he's still a big post presence, right? Like, okay, imagine DJ coming off of a screen, or I'm not even thinking that. I'm saying Yak needs to be the guy setting the screen way the hell up there, and he's your guy that's trailing you. Now, if you're DJ and you're running at the rim and you have all these options, you're reading if people are stepping in for kick out. You know what I mean? Or you're going hard at that rim. You're going hard, and Jakob's defender is not right in front of you because he stepped out with Jak a little bit. He's like on your side or something like that. So now at least we have the option. You know what I mean? I don't know. And I'm not even really talking about like. I guess what I'm trying to say is like it just feels like even if that's not the official look you're going for, it is a good way to start the offense and put the defense immediately in a bad position. And I feel like other teams do that to us, and we OKC beat us doing that. Brooklyn beat us doing that, and I just haven't seen us try to put anybody in a bad position like that. Yeah, and maybe that's just not our style, but it's like maybe we can adapt and add some of that stuff to our arsenal. Is all I'm trying to say.
If Jakob sets that screen, he's not shooting it. So like
no, I'm saying he's rolling.
Sag. Yeah, I know, but his guy can just sag like and guard both of the guys because there's no way he's stepping back.
Yeah, Yak is one of the best. Yak is one of the best as long as they're not calling no whack fouls on his screens.
And they'll call them.
But Yak sticks that leg out. He makes it very apparent whenever he sticks his leg out.
And also, people talk about like your guards can get your big man fouls if they move too early and stuff like that, trying to hit those screens. So let's say we work all that stuff out. If he's setting a good screen, and creating just some separation from our ball handler and their defender, I feel so much better about a foot race to the basket with DJ and a big man. You know what I mean? I feel okay in that situation. And all I'm trying to say is maybe I just want to see like, is there a possibility for us to open up that kind of play making in our arsenal? Because it seems like other teams in a half court set, games on the line. How many times this year and in the recent memory have we seen like wide open shots off of something very simple like that? You know what I mean? I know, I get it. Shea running off the screen, and it's James Harden. But I mean, at some point we're gonna expect DJ and Lonnie and Keldon and Derek to be as prolific or as productive as those guys. Like we have to. You know what I mean? They have to be our production. So it's like I don't know. I just want to see like, can we get some of that going in our stuff?
All right. Now finally I get my chance to shine. So that high screen and roll would work with. I feel like it could work with Yak as our center, with Yak as our pick and roll man, with LA as our pick and roll man, with Lyles, maybe even Luka. But like those three are like the three like kind of bigs that I mainly see running pick and rolls, right? If we ran a high screen and roll with Yak there, even if people are sagging off, Yak is not a bad passer in that sense. He can still get the ball at the top of the key. You see cuts, or you see him just dribble down and do his little drop off and just get another screen and roll going just to get the offense moving. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. I feel like that still works. Even if they're gonna sag off of him, well, then we just create more opportunities because that means that now we have two of their defenders in the paint and maybe DJ's in the paint as well. But now we have Lonnie running across the 3-point line to get the ball from Jakob, and Jakob sets that screen, and either they're pushing out or to leave DJ inside and get a good look, or Lonnie just has that wide open look to, get his shot off, right? I feel like that's just a situation that just came across my mind when we just started talking about this. And And that's only just for Yak. With LA can start running pick and fades. If we run a high screen and fade with LA, I feel like that would also work because it still opens the paint for our attacking guards like DJ and DeMar, and then it still puts LaMarcus in a solid enough position that, you know, we throw it out to him, he can still shoot it from there, you know? Same thing with Trey. But Trey, I feel like, is a little bit more versatile on both ends. He can shoot, he can still shoot from the three, but then he can still be the screen and roll man because he can, you know, he's not a slow big. Like, he can run down there, and I feel like I've seen us throw a couple to Trey before. So I think if we added a high screen and roll to our offensive playbook, I feel like that would be killer. Like, it would help us a lot.
I think, like I said, that if we had the players, I think Pop would have figured that out already. And
I don't know.
Maybe, but that's what I'm saying. It has to be something, because you cannot sit here. We're sitting here thinking, "Oh man, if we just had this," you cannot tell me that it has not ran through Pop's mind or anything like that. And maybe we don't. Like, maybe we don't.
Yeah, I mean, and I'm not. Maybe I'm not trying to say that it's gonna be a cure-all or anything like that, but it's like, I don't know. It just feels like a easy way to get more space. And the reason I say it feels like an easy way is because I feel like I see other teams do it to us a lot.
Or maybe they just defend it better than we do, because we suck on those.
Yeah, and that's exactly maybe where my frustration is coming from. It's like, I see that we get beat by it so easily that I'm like, why? Like, there's no reason that it should be that effective. And if it is, why the heck are we doing it? You know what I mean? At least as an offensive initiator, it doesn't always have to be a isolation. You know, James Harden would do it in Houston, but James Harden would do it almost every single possession. You know what I mean? And it was effective. It was effective against us against Brooklyn too. He ran it like 3 or 4 times in a row. And it was like layup, pass, lob. You know what I mean? So I get it. Anyways, we can move on. Is there I don't know. We probably all anticipated that we would hopefully have a shot against Brooklyn. We kind of did, but it didn't go our way. We take that, you know. But we moved on. We went over to New York. And like you guys were saying, I was glad that we played better on the second half of the back-to-back. We probably expected that we could, because, you know, the Knicks aren't they're in playoff contention this year and all that kind of stuff, and not trying to hit on them or anything like that. But that, I think Knicks fall into that pile of teams of like, we should be able to beat these guys if we execute the way that we're doing our thing and everything like that. I will say though, real quick, I was real happy, or not happy, but I enjoyed watching Toppin, Quickly. And so you add that with like RJ and Knox and what's his name, their all-star, Randall. You know, that's a pretty fun group of young players. So I definitely would be willing to, especially because they're in playoff contention. A lot of people are talking about them in a positive light right now, but when they played San Antonio, they didn't really play that well. So I would definitely be willing to kind of check them out a little bit more and see.
Yeah, and to be fair, like, looking at the box scores, I see that, like, I obviously this was the game that we had missed last week in terms of talking about them.
That we did.
That was the L that we took, right? But looking at it, and I guess I could probably also look at the IR list in just a second. But Mitchell Robinson didn't play, Derrick Rose didn't play, and Elfrid Payton didn't play. And those are 3 people that I know contribute to something, you know. Maybe Elfrid Payton a little less just because of how many guards they have on that team. Yeah. But they still have, like, you know, that's still three rotational pieces, especially Mitchell Robinson, Derrick Rose, 3 rotational pieces that, like, could have helped contribute something. But you'd see, like, they got 26 from Emmanuel Quickly, you know, and that's not bad for a surprise player. I don't remember what pick that he got drafted with, but, you know, a late first rounder and a nice surprise for New York, you know, to build on.
Yeah, not too much to talk about this one. But it was cool. I mean, we're now that we're getting into the second half, we're going to be getting a chance to see a lot more of the Eastern Conference team. So I'm excited to kind of start to get a look at these guys.
Yeah. Toppin tonight, right in the dunk contest, he had that dunk against us. Looked pretty good.
Nice.
So
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly the point that I was thinking whenever I didn't know that he was part of the dunk contest, and then I saw his name after we played him, and I was like, oh sweet, like he definitely looked like a high flyer when we saw him, and I remember he was one of the players who was like got a little bit more of the coverage when it came to the draft. You know what I mean? They had the cameras in his house and all that.
Isn't he like a hometown kid? Isn't that like?
Yeah. He's from New York.
He is, right? Okay,
yeah.
so like that was like
he
a
got
perfect fit
drafted.
for
He was like
him.
all happy. He got to stay in New York and
Exactly. So I was excited to see like it's a lot of those guys that I don't see them play a lot in college, but then I start to see their profiles pop up more as they're getting drafted and their prospects. So I was glad to get a chance to check him out at least once. So I'll be looking forward to seeing New York play a little bit more in the second half. All right, so we had the Brooklyn game. We showed some good resolve versus the Knicks, and then we had like you guys said the disappointing finish to this part of the season, right? So the we owe them game, as I called it on Twitter.
Like just to kind of point this out, we had finished the first quarter 27-24, so it was like kind of close, kind of even. Then we outscored them 37-23 in the second. That's what is that? 14 points. If my math serves me correctly, that's a 14-point differential in the second quarter alone. And then we lose 31-23 and then 26-18 in the fourth. And it's like you could just tell how like we started off cool, ended the second quarter great, and then had such a rough third and fourth quarter, and it was just like,
yeah, it definitely felt like the man. I freaking hate to say this because I feel like I said this the first time we played OKC or the last time we played them. It just felt like they came out with a lot of energy that we weren't able to match in that second half, and it's frustrating to watch. You know what I mean? It is, and I get what Pop was saying about like, yeah, I think it finally caught up to us, like being tired and this and that. But then Patty came right out and said this feeling that we have of feeling tired and feeling like we're having to manage different lineups and is probably what the whole rest of the season is going to look like. And that's exactly right. That's exactly right. So I guess it's good that we can maybe hopefully learn this lesson now. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Of like nobody's sorry for you because you're tired. Nobody's sorry for you because you're missing players. You got to figure it out. And I'll say that like I don't think that you can say that we were tired, but man, we didn't help ourselves by like just
the turnovers. We had so many turnovers. The turnovers killed us. Like we lost this game. I feel like we just played bad overall.
Yeah,
we weren't hitting shots. We were turning the ball over left and right.
I believe DJ turnovers total.
I believe DJ I think he led the team in turnovers. Like, but you look back, like we cannot have our point guard that has the ball every single play, like leading us in turnovers.
Yeah,
that's something that we cannot have, But it was just it was kind of rough to watch. Honestly, we could have lost.
DJ did lead us with 5, and we finished the game overall with 19. Yeah. DeMar had 4. Like it was rough though. Like
those are the two guys that have the ball right all the time.
Yeah, nobody had it. Like the only 2 people that I'd say had a solid enough game was Lonnie and Trey. Lonnie went 3 for 6 from the field and 3 for 4 from 3, which is good. But that makes me upset because he only played 23 minutes and Trey only played 26. Trey went 7 for 9 that night, and it's like I feel like that's one thing that kind of gets on my nerves is like I feel like we don't play the situations right whenever we have our guys.
Sometimes.
Yeah, whenever we have the hot hand.
I feel that's the way. Yeah,
it's like like I'll say like all right, so start giving it to this guy. He has the hot hand. He's starting to show like that he needs the ball. But then when we do, we're setting up some dumb play that's not like, something that's like, whoa, you're putting him. He was getting his shots in the flow of the game with the system. Yeah. And we just need to be looking for him more. Not necessarily we need to create an ISO play for Trey, or we need to create a play where Trey is some pick and roll man to kind of get him out of his rhythm. No, like we got to keep working at what was what was working, which was him being in the rhythm of the game and stuff like that. And it was just like, it gets on my nerves whenever I see that. And I'm like, come on now. Like I feel like our decision-making can be poor out there whenever it comes to those type of situations.
I would agree. And so last year, Josh was not hard, but Josh was very adamant about saying like Pop's lineups are not working right now. Like the people that Pop's choosing to put out there is not working. And so, I understand that we're shorthanded right now. We were missing, some people, and then we got Keldon back, which is great and all that. And then LA was going to be here, and then he had to leave again, and all that kind of stuff. Like I get all that, but when I'm looking on and I see where is it at? We had a lineup out there with Trey and Diop and Yak at the same time, all on the floor at the same time, and I'm like, when I saw that, I was like, okay, this is a red flag to me. You know what I mean? This is, I don't know if this is going to work. And then, man, we just look so slow. Those guys are not like our decision makers. You know what I mean? And so when I see like our shortened lineup, and this is something, it kind of ties into like, what do I want to see moving forward? But at the same time, I'm hoping that we get healthy moving forward. We have a full roster, but for the duration of like, however long we're going to be minus people, I feel like, this is the season of trying to see what our young guys are all about. I feel like we really need to spread them out and never go a moment without having one of them be the guys out there. Like to have Luka and Lyles and Diop out there is not enough for me. Like you go, I don't know. Like what do you guys think?
Well, yeah, I think Luka needs to play more than 19 minutes. The way he's been playing, like, good Lord. Like,
yeah.
And then as far as like Jake was saying, and this is what bugs me, because I'm like all in. I'm like, I want to make the playoffs. I want to have the best people out there that are gonna like push us into that. But then when you start hearing these things about the trade deadline, and I'm like, man, if we're gonna, I don't know what we're gonna do tomorrow. Like, I don't want him to go, but like say he leaves us, right, and we still have him playing 40 minutes a game, like. Pop and them have to know that we're going to make a move or something, and if they think that it's a possibility, we need to plug somebody else in. Don't let DeMar close these games out like that. Like I said, he's closing the games out all the time, and we're not going to give our young guys a chance to fill those roles, to learn those roles. So, I mean, I don't know. I don't know what we're going to do as far as the trade goes. Maybe that's another topic later, but
yeah. Yeah, I mean, I would agree with you. I think that the Spurs are planning on keeping DeMar for the season.
Yeah, right. I hope we do.
Yeah, because I don't think that they would have him be the closer every single night. I mean, you see teams literally sitting their players. Yeah, and I don't think that the Spurs would go that far. Well, I don't know. I mean, sometimes I feel like the Spurs would be the type who would be like, oh, we're going to trade LA, so he's missing games because of a stomach bug and because of this.
And you know what? Whenever it came out that said that he had a stomach virus, I'm like, oh, well, he's gone.
Yeah, like that kind of stuff. I as shady as it kind of sounds, I hate to kind of see it, but I feel like they would just put it in that light rather than come out straight away like Cleveland did and say, hey, we're sitting him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, but I don't know. I just, when it comes to like these losses that we're taking, it's like, I just feel like there's stretches in the game where we don't have the right we don't have enough mental like decision makers out there on the court at the same time, and they're all sitting on the bench because they were all on the court together. And it's like, yo, in a regular season, when you have all your players, you have that luxury to load your starting lineup and all that kind of stuff. But in this regard, I feel like we do need to spread it out. You know what I mean? Like that's just me. I don't need to see. Yeah, I don't need to see Lonnie and Keldon and DeMar and DJ on the floor at one time. And I don't think that all four of them are all out there. That's an exaggeration. But to have like all three of them out there plus Luka and a big, I feel like that's too front loaded. Like, you give me another guard and maybe you know what I mean? Like, give me more combinations to where I have at least two or three of them out there, but never where it's so front loaded that now my second unit, I got, like I said, Diop is, no offense to Keita Bates, but he is a body right now. You know what I mean? He's not out there to contribute heavily. He's out there to just don't get burned too much, keep the ball moving, like those kind of things. So if
to
you
be
have
fair,
if you have him out there with Lyles and with if you have Lyles and let's say Lyles, Jakob, and Bates, you're really starting to put pressure on Lyles and Jak to produce offensively. And Lyles, kudos to him, he did step up these past couple games.
He showed that he can step up offensively.
Yeah, and he's had good progression in that regard, and maybe that's why that's why Pop has all of them out there, because that's his way of saying, okay, Luka, like Lyles, you need to be more now in the flow of the offense. We got to be able to rely on you, because it can't just be 100% on our guards all the time. That's just some of the things that I noticed a little bit, right?
And to be fair for Keita Bates, like he is not having bad nights. Like to what
No, he's not.
I don't think Chris is. I don't think you're saying anything of like, oh, he's out there just to be out there. But like he's out there, and he is contributing to an aspect. Obviously not to the kind of stuff where we're like, all right, Keita, you got to get out there and score 20 for us. No, like he's just going out there, and I feel like most of our the fan aspect of it is just seeing him go out there and be like, yeah, he's just out there because we just need him to fill minutes, but he's actually going out there and producing a little bit. He's not just being out there to be a body, but I understand what you mean when it comes to the lineups and the situation.
Yeah, and like you were saying, in the flow of the offense, at the very beginning of the game, the flow of the offense starts, and you have already, but when everybody has 0 points, you already have your totem pole of like how you're trying to distribute, and Keita Bates is way at the bottom of that, right? Mm-hmm. And then as the game goes, he's been doing a good job of taking those opportunities, but as the game goes on, the likelihood of him being a guy that you're starting to look for more is still pretty low, is all I'm trying to say.
Exactly.
So when he's out there, but I would say kind of similar things for like a Trey at times, like from what he's shown us. There's times where Trey goes out there and he's contributing defensively and he's finding some moments, but he's kind of out there just, allowing the guards to kind of really take center stage. So if you, and then Jak is the same thing. Jak, he can be a focal point and we can find him down low, but again, like he just, he's not as high. So if you have all three of those guys out on the floor at the same time, somebody's got to rise up in the totem pole. And so that's all I'm trying to say is like, it scares me a little bit that we have these stretches, because I'm like, we have enough depth right now, even though we're depleted, to spread it out in a different way to where it doesn't feel like we're so thin, really having to rely on our guards. You know what I mean? Now with that being said, I do think that Lyles has stepped up, and we need him to continue to step up, especially if LA is going to be in and out with injuries, or if he's going to be regulated to a bench role or whatever, right? So anyways, let's move forward. And I kind of in that vein, I had a question that I wanted to kind of propose for the group. And as we're approaching trade deadline, as we're approaching trade deadline, and we've continued to kind of see LA's production change and go to the bench and all that kind of stuff. I wanted to bring up the question. So we have seen Lyles take a step forward. We have obviously seen Luka take some steps forward in the past couple weeks as well. So these are I would say Luka more of a step forward than Lyles, but either way, we all talked about very casually about having Lyles in our starting lineups at the beginning of the year and talking about him being a rotational piece and a contributing piece. So, can Lyles and Luka, can a combination of those two, can they equal the production that we're afraid of losing with having LA, moving forward? Like that's the question, right? So,
right. Jeez.
Obviously, we never try to diminish him when we say about moving him around, because we know what he can bring, but we also know a lot of the things that we've been getting exposed for this year, more specifically, maybe on the defensive end. So, what do you guys think? Would you like to see us pushing for Lyles and Luka more, or do you think that could still give us enough where we're staying where we're at, or maybe even going better, or do you see us taking a huge dip? Where you guys stand on that?
Go ahead, Jake. I'll let you go first.
So
if you want me to, I'll go.
I got you. I'll go first. So it's a double-edged sword for me because I feel like they could both equal it. Like you combine them both, whatever, and yeah, it equals LA's production on the offensive end. But and it's just like because both of them, I don't know. I don't know what I would say in terms of them defensively. Luka has been killer on that on that perimeter, and I feel like he's been solid. He's not he's not a pushover when it comes to him guarding somebody, but I don't see him guarding a center. And Trey, while I could see him guarding a center, that's a small ball lineup. That's a small lineup that we'd be running if he's out there at the 5. And so it's like, we'd be running like who would we be running at the 5? We'd have to start giving Drew Eubanks rotational minutes, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, not 20 minutes, but like 15 to 17 minutes a game just because we traded LA and we don't have a big out there,
Yeah. I mean,
that's my only thing is that yeah, I see Lyles and Luka being able to equal LA's production, but at the same time, it's the positions, like it's the positional emptiness that we'd be having there. Because for me, Lyles and Luka fit in the forward where Rudy is and not where LA is.
Yeah, but haven't we seen even Rudy run a 5 this year?
But at the same time, that's still something that it can work. It can work, but I don't know if it'll work 100% of the time. That's very situational thing for me.
That is true. That is true. But situationally speaking, we would have Jakob as our 5. You know what I mean?
Oh, we can't run Jakob at the 5 all the time.
Yes, I know, but
somebody's got to take up those backup minutes, and Trey, Luka, and Rudy, I don't think would be able to.
So let me throw this out to you, and then we'll go to Josh. Like, what if? And I'm not even really talking about LA being traded. What if LA was our backup center? And what I'm saying is you have Jakob out there running the 5 for the starting lineup, but now you just kind of have like an amalgamation of Lyles is in there. Lyles is our starting 4. But you have Luka as like the plug-in man for a 4 or for a 3. Really he could be either one. You know what I mean? Like what if we did that? And now LA becomes our center for the bench. You know what I mean? I don't know. What do you think?
At that point, it just becomes a minutes kind of thing, because it's like, yeah, we could have Luka be that plug-in man, but where are we finding those minutes from? Because Rudy's going to eventually come back.
Yeah, true. And so I guess I'm just trying to think in my head, if LA's still going to be inconsistent, more specifically with his health than anything, in and out of the lineup, then we are going to have to find. I would say that's where the minutes come from. You know what I mean? If nobody's going to give us anything, if they're going to be lowballing us for trades for LA, then I would much rather have him as a backup center in a diminished role and have him work for whatever contract he's going to get on any other team next year than to try to trade him for a batch of seconds or something like that. Like that's not worth it to me. I feel like we're young enough. We already have enough assets. You know what I mean? Like we're going to be we're going to get another one next year going into the draft or whatever. So I don't know, like that's just kind of where I said I feel like we could. I feel like we would probably take a hit in some aspects, and even people want to hate, but even in like the last couple games, how many stretches did you have where, let's say we had an LA in there running against those bench units? We didn't have LA there against the OKC the second time to post up against Roby and take advantage of that young small lineup. You know what I mean? So I think that he could find he still could find a career on our bench or a career on somebody's bench moving forward. But for the rest of this season, I feel like he could still be very successful. So I'm thinking more just like, could we, whatever potential loss we're going to have of having him as our starter, could we still get at least that much with maybe a combination, and maybe we throw Rudy in there too, Lyles, Luka, Rudy, all kind of filling in, to try to spell that production we're going to get from him. Josh, I don't know. Did you have anything else to add?
Not really, but I feel like it's simple. It's just like, yes, just straight up yes around everything. Jake said it Jake said, "Oh, Luka's not a pushover on the defensive end, on the perimeter." And you seen guys try to back him down, like you see Zion try to push him around, and it didn't like.
He did get bullied a couple times.
He played. I mean, it's gonna happen. Like it's just experience. Like everybody's gonna get taken advantage of in some way or another when you're out there. But like, I would never say that about LaMarcus Aldridge. As far as like, oh, you see him out there playing defense on the perimeter? No, because his ass is getting blown right by. And just the way Jake said that right there, I'm just like, well, it's like apparent. Like if we have guys, because like just like you were saying, Chris, like we're gonna find, like we don't necessarily have to trade him, but like I do think he could take like all his minutes, like make him like really really minimal. As a backup, those times when, and I know it kind of sucks because Yak's always in foul trouble, so maybe he'll play all the time. Who knows? But, I think
that's another reason to keep him is because Yak still isn't a reliable, 100%.
He's always in foul trouble, right?
Yeah. So if you can have him
saying things that he kind of does sometimes with his little legs, his little screens or whatever, but like, yeah, dude, I think Lyles and Luka could easily take LaMarcus Aldridge's role, his production, and make it better for us. And it sucks to say because when you think of LaMarcus Aldridge, right, you just think of the old, like you think of what he used to do, but he's just not that guy anymore. So I hate to like down him all the time, but it's just like moving forward, we have the guys that are going to be next, right? So we have to go with these guys, and we can't just ride out with LA. Like we cannot, for our organization, we cannot. And I think that would I try to move him? Yeah, but like you said, I don't want to get him for nobody. Like you said, I don't think we need a couple of 6th-round picks. Like right now, I do not believe we need that. If we could trade him for like a younger guy, like I think I would go after it. Somebody athletic to a contender that just needs a big man. Like maybe we do that, but
yeah,
I don't know what the trade packages look like out there. I don't know if anybody's calling us, but
I definitely see his value at around being like the trade that Derrick Rose got traded for in Detroit. He got traded for Dennis Smith and a 2nd-round pick, and so it's like
a young guy and another second. Think so?
Yeah, I see that as like probably the most realistic trade that I could think of for LA. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And moving that or a more expensive player, somebody that's going to be on our books for longer, whatever.
Hey, what do y'all think about Larry Nance? I like that guy.
Is he on the buyout or where's he at?
He's looking to get traded in Cleveland. But if Cleveland buys out like Drummond, right? Say Drummond leaves, then that's a lot of free money for them next year. And then they get LA, which will clear up more money for them next year. And they still have Jared Allen. So they're trying to move Larry Nance with their young guards and then Jared Allen with a lot of money.
Larry Nance is another 6'8" guy who's like, I mean, yeah, he can. I out of all the names that we have literally just stated, I feel like he's obviously other than Yak, right? But he's definitely a guy who can hold his own in the paint, but he's still a 6'8" big. That's smaller than other 6'8" bigs like Bam and even like I've mentioned Precious before, Precious Achua from the Heat. Like he's
the Heat with you.
he's still smaller than those kind of guys, even if he is 6'8".
Yeah, but talking about contracts, so he's only owed $11 million this year, $10 million next year, and $9 million the year after that.
That's a deal. That's a steal to me.
And so you'd have him on your books for the next 2 years at 10 and 9. That's like right around the amount of money that you're paying like a Rudy Gay. So I don't know. Maybe
I just think
I would want to trade him for a little bit more size.
That's a big man that could run with us. Like we could plug him in at the 4 and he'll run with us. Like, and then he's the guy that that we could throw lobs to. That or we set some back screens for him. And honestly, I don't know what Larry is as a shooter. Like I don't think I've watched him enough to like know if he could even step out or not. But I just know that he's he'll boom on you, and I'll take that.
Well, yeah, you're right, and I mean I would like that too, but I feel like I just need if I'm trading my 6'10" center, 6'11" center, I don't want to get smaller when our team is already not as in the big man department.
We haven't had LaMarcus Aldridge a good chunk of the season, so I think we could see that we could play and win without him. So when you're talking about you don't want to give up the size for somebody, I mean we've already been without the size, and we haven't, and he's still on our books. He's still with us, and we're always without him. You know what I mean?
Look at that. Like I mean, I feel like you look at the Brooklyn game, and I mean, at what they were doing in the inside.
We had a chance.
Yak was the only, but Yak was the only big man out there. Like they just had. I mean, obviously DeAndre Jordan is a huge shell of what he used to be, but both him and Nick Claxton were they both had their way at points. They both had their way at points.
There's I don't think you could tell me a handful of times where they threw the ball down low and they just let him work. All those are just coming off James Harden. It's all James Harden.
It's still the fact that they were able to have opportunities because we didn't have all that size.
And I don't know if you guys noticed this, but they played DeAndre Jordan the entire first quarter. So Yak was out there the entire Yak was even out there the full quarter, I don't think, but I'd have to go back and watch. But they played DeAndre Jordan the whole first. So then when Claxton came out and you know what I mean, like it just over the course of 48 minutes, it wore us down. So I get what Jake is saying, and like we want to have the bodies there, for the grind of the game. But I mean, if LA's not a 7-footer, and so neither is Nance. Nance is just what Nance maybe could lack in size, height wise, he would make up in mobility. He probably is still young enough to work on his strength and be a strong presence. You know what I mean, and try to be maybe more dense. So I mean, I could see that. Josh, to answer your question earlier, his 3-point percentage is garbage.
No, is it? Well, yeah. I mean that's okay. That's okay for like a big man. I'm not.
His 3 points garbage. His free throws aren't. Well, I mean his free throws, like he pushed into the 70% a couple times, but
that's perfect then.
But he's a career 33% from the 3-point line.
That's one every three. It's all right.
I mean, that's right. Like I mean, I don't know. I feel like if we're gonna trade LaMarcus, and we already know that we have his production. Like we literally have that card up there that says that like can Lyles and Luka equal his production moving forward on the offensive end. I mean, like you said it yourself that you think that we could do that, and so I mean, like if that means that
imagine if we spell
those things. Imagine if we already had that offensive production. And then we just trade LA to get somebody that can help us on the defensive side and add more to that, kind of.
Right, that's kind of hard because I would hate to. I don't know. Whenever you throw those guys out there that I know are just like we're playing a 4-on-5 on the offensive end of the court, like I don't like that. I do not like that. Like you have to have a little mix.
Look at what Jakob does out there on the court. Jakob isn't exactly like. He's not a scorer.
Are you getting a guy who's as good as Jakob Poeltl in a trade? I mean,
obviously, I don't know. I don't know what the market looks like and who would be interested in LaMarcus. But if we get somebody that we know can at least work a little bit into our system, you don't need to be the greatest center of all time to have the ball in your hands at the top of the key and put the ball down once or twice just to lay it off and get a screen and roll. It's not like
Well, maybe Nance can maybe Nance could be at least at the very minimum something like that. I mean,
I think that he could do it. I think that he has enough post moves.
Our system for our big men that don't shoot and stuff like that. It does not look like it's a complex system. You know what I mean? Something that's like something that you really need to be niche for. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, okay. So seeing what you're saying, you don't need to be niche. Well, I think that Nance is very non-niche. He does a lot of little things decently enough. You know what I mean? So if you can get a guy like that for an LA, I mean, I don't know, maybe let's so Josh was saying maybe this is a topic for like a later. So we are going to be approaching the trade deadline, obviously. So maybe we can shoot for like next week or the week after. The week after will be the 21st of March. So that'll be just a few days before. So
And that's if right. That's the deadline, so they could get moved
before
this
then.
week.
Yeah, exactly. So
Yeah.
so maybe we'll shoot for next week or the 21st. And let's I know we had kind of talked, we had kind of talked about doing this maybe for this week, but I think we're still a good 2 weeks out. Maybe next week we really sit down and we say, okay, let's see how can we maybe unfortunately maybe LA's the subject of our experiment next
I was
week,
gonna
and we
say that
see.
because we text, right? We text and y'all said, all right, well, let's just throw some trade packages for these players. I'm like, hell no.
Yeah, I don't want
to trade nobody.
I don't want to.
If
I don't
we're
want to
gonna
trade
talk
anybody
about,
else.
yeah, I'll be boring during that segment because I'm only talking about LaMarcus.
Yeah, I would say the same. So maybe we try to make the Spurs better by trading LA next week, and we see what we can come up with.
But you know what?
Maybe,
I wouldn't mind doing Rudy right and sending him to a contender if we could get something,
knows?
because we do have
Maybe,
Luka and Trey.
Maybe I surprise y'all with like some type of trade that's just like, oh, that's not a bad deal, Jake.
Yeah, I'll trade DeMar for Anthony Davis.
Oh sure. Yeah. What about Zach LaVine?
DeMar for Zach LaVine?
Yeah, DeMar for Zach LaVine. We'd obviously have to give up a little. We'd have to give up a little bit for it. But if we traded DeMar for Zach LaVine, I wouldn't be mad.
No,
that's another score. It's literally somebody that just takes up that. But at the same time, I like what we're going with our young pieces. Like we'd be changing things up if we traded for Zach LaVine.
We probably have to send one of our young guys over there, anyways.
Yeah, I would agree. All right, well, so then we'll continue this. We'll continue talking about LA's production and how it kind of can fit, or maybe either can fit with us or maybe end up fitting with somebody else. But let's.
I need him to come back after this All-Star break, looking like an All-Star, so that we can trade him for like Miles Turner.
Yeah, right. I got probably still have a stomach bug.
All right, so let's switch gears a little bit and let's just kind of talk. We did get the Josh wasn't with us last week, so we did start to introduce the second half of the schedule, and so we'll bring that up again here in just a little bit and kind of see what are some of our outlooks moving past the All-Star break. But let's kind of start with the breakdowns of the game since we only have two. So up on the slate for this week, on the 10th, we are going to Dallas to face the Mavericks, right? So let's I don't know, Jake, do you got some? Do you have anything that you want to share screen wise?
Yeah, give me 1 second, right here.
And then while you're doing that, I'm gonna scroll. Okay, so we still have one more. We still have one more game against these guys in April 11th. So it's not the end of the season series, but I just wanted to throw that out there. All right, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, it's just it's the Mavericks that we lost to. They actually have a fully healthy team. No people on the IR list at all. And so I mean, it's the Luka show. Kristaps is actually doing pretty solid. And then obviously you have people like Tim Hardaway Jr., Josh Richardson, and then a couple of their other role players that just kind of come in, do the work that they need to do. But they've actually kind of been disappointing this year. They haven't. I don't exactly remember what record they have, but it's
they're like right behind us. They're in the 8th seed, I believe, and they've been playing a lot better in as of recent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I mean, who knows? I feel like coming into this game, it'll be tough because Luka is Luka, and obviously, a lot of the word around the NBA has definitely been hateful towards Luka, hateful towards Trey, just because of what they've been doing on the offensive end, and my take on that, at least, is just the fact that like you can't really get mad at the players that are taking advantage of the game, but like we need to fix that after this season. Like we need to fix the fact that Luka and Trey
sideways
are jumping 20 feet forward, 20 feet sideways, just so that they could get a bump and get a foul. Like
especially like Luka, who can create so much separation like so easily.
Exactly. And so it's like it's super annoying, and I mean, like I even like I kind of try to hold off on like, you know, saying like, oh, that's not basketball, yada yada, right? Whatever. Just because like, I mean, I know we have like our times, you know, like DeMar's I see him do it a lot where he just does his little pump fake and they're up in the air and he just jumps up, gets his little bump and you know, we get our foul. But that is to me, whenever I see DeMar doing his little bump up thing, I don't see DeMar doing it and jumping forward. I see DeMar, you know, kind of standing in his little circle and seeing that somebody jumped right into it and maybe a little lean, but still finding himself to just get up and you know, because you jump first, because I got you jumping, it's my, you know, I get my 2 shots now. Like, I get that. I definitely do. But seeing like the jump forwards and all that kind of stuff, or Trey where he gets somebody on his back and jumps backwards into his shot,
and honestly, out of all of those, I'm the least opposed to the jump forward. Because it's simulated of like a drive to the basket. You know what I mean? Jumping away from the basket or jumping to the left or to the right is, like, in my opinion, the more egregious ones. Because that's the, like, you can have that's what an up and under is. You know what I mean? It's a pump fake, it's a step through and a shot. So like that is a little bit more natural to me, like the jump forward, the lean forward. But yeah, the lean back and the lean side.
I don't think any of that is natural when you're on the 3-point line. Like, these guys do it. I've never seen if you're wide open and you take a jump shot, you're gonna just jump straight up and down. So at any point, I don't think I've ever seen anybody stand there and jump forward to shoot a three.
I would agree. I would agree that the further away you are from the basket, the jump forward starts to look kind of ridiculous.
And this is what we're talking about, because that's exactly what Trey does. Trey gets people up and he'll jump forward and he'll jump all the way around. All right, but that's a different topic.
But yeah, that was just like a little thing about it. Obviously, we don't really get a lot of time to talk about that specifically, just because our guys don't really do it that much, you know.
Yeah, that's true.
If at all, you know. So I mean, it's just something that, like, I kind of wanted to bring up, just because, like, I mean, Luka's one of the prime targets in the NBA right now, definitely getting a lot of hate, and I don't like I said, I don't think he deserves a lot of it, because at the same time, he's taking advantage of the situation for this season, but at the same time, like, it's bringing attention to it so that next year we have, you know, Adam Silver and them, like, actually go into the meeting saying, all right, this is going to be the rule. You know, you do this, it's an offensive foul or whatever, you know, like, you do this and, you know, whatever, right? We're not going to call it anymore. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like whatever.
It'll change maybe, hopefully.
It's the kind of like you find the loopholes and you patch them, because, you know, if there's something there, you know, all right, now we fix it. Now we can have again a more competitive whatever, right? Like, I think it's okay in that sense. Still though, I mean, we can kind of get into just how y'all feel about the game. I feel like this one's gonna be kind of tough, but at the same time, we're coming back from All-Star break. We're gonna be getting our legs ready to go. Hopefully, we'll have a full healthy roster.
That's the thing that scares me the most is, like, you know, like you just said, they've been fighting through injuries a lot of the beginning, especially with Porzingis, and then now they're starting to round into decent shape. So I'm a little bit worried the fact that we don't really know exactly at this moment what our roster is going to be like. Are we going to be at full strength? So that part does.
I think that we have to be at full strength, right? Because there's no way in hell that they're allowing these guys to be on the bench. I feel like.
I mean, that's a good point.
Even if we are at full strength, it'll still be like, you know, there's still looming questions on, like, you know, whether or not LA will be back, whether or not we're going to be giving Luka minutes, and all those kind of little things that, like, and then the fact that we haven't seen Rudy Gay play basketball for 3 weeks. So the fact that we haven't seen Derek and like a couple of the other guys like just not play basketball for a good minute now, you know.
Derek White has played like 4 games this whole year.
Yeah, but
you get what I mean. You get what I mean, though. Like,
the reason I think that we'll be back is because Quindary, remember, he was first. Quindary sat out, and then all of our other guys sat out, and he played last night in the G League.
Well, yeah, they'll be back to full strength,
and then he put up 25.
But
do I think that
there's still gonna be things that you know, what if we come in and like, just because they haven't played for so long, like, You think they're
Yeah.
gonna be ready to?
Yeah,
come in-
Jake's just saying that our rotations are going to still be a little bit in flux, where it feels like Dallas is starting to solidify. Is I think
Well, these
is
guys,
what we're saying.
these guys got a break too, right? So everybody has a small break right now. So,
Mhm.
hopefully we get some practices and we're in the same situation as them. They're all going to be, other than Luca, right? Luca's playing in the All-Star game. So Luca's going to be the only one running right now. And then we won't play them until I forget when it is.
Yeah,
So,
but I think Jake is just saying, like, when it comes to the how we're gonna be manning our the floor for the first couple games of leading out of the All-Star break, we're still figuring some things out, and hopefully they start to solidify as we get closer to the end of the year. And it just feels like Dallas is a little bit further along in that process of, like, they just know a little bit more of what their team looks like.
And you've seen whenever players came back from COVID or from the virus, when they like you've seen whenever Russell Westbrook came back, how he just kind of wasn't like, he wasn't feeling himself at the beginning of the bubble, like there's just some people that just kind of like took more time than others to get back into their NBA shape, or to be NBA ready and stuff like that after they came back from the virus, so it's just like,
And we still don't really 100% know
if
how it's
anybody
gonna.
had it.
Well, I don't know. Did they mention positive tests for
I've
players,
never-
any of that kind of stuff?
I thought they did. I remember seeing positive tests, and that's why we had to like skip
Maybe.
those couple games for the rodeo.
Yeah, maybe. So and yeah, because Keldon did say that he had it. He said that it sucked. So I mean, we still don't know enough about COVID in general to see, like, it could affect some players a lot more than others, and who knows, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, that part of it does give me a little cause for concern, just because, like, just like I was saying, it just feels like they're a little bit more solidified than we are. You know what I mean? So I want to see execution. And another thing that kind of scares me is, we have not fared too well in these season series. I wish I would have saved the tweet. I wish I would have saved the tweet because I wanted to screenshot it. But yeah, like when it comes to, like, our season series right now, like, we lost to the Thunder. We lost to Golden State Warriors. We lost to the Lake. I'm specifically, I'm thinking more of the teams that are, like, right next to us. We lost to the Memphis Grizzlies. We lost the season series to the Houston Rockets, I think, even though they're a little bit below us. But you know what I mean? It's like all of these teams that are, like, right next to us, like, that kind of stuff is gonna matter. So it's like, here's another team literally right next to us in the 8th seed, and if we lose this one, now we're actually, if we lose this one, we lose the season series, right? Because we lost to them the first game. This will be the second, and then we get one more shot. So if we don't win this game, that's another season series that we've lost. So it's like, those are the things that, like, that are so important to me right out the gate coming back from the All-Star break. And I just, we need it. We need it,
especially because of how close these standings are.
Yeah,
you never know. Like us,
it's gonna come down to some of those other records versus just the original wins and losses and seeding.
Yeah.
It's gonna come down to some of those tiebreakers,
especially like I mean, the fact that we lost to, like, a team like Golden State in the season series, the fact that we lost to a team like a little less to the Thunder, because I feel like the Thunder is still going to end up being like a lottery team, but we lose these season series, and we're sitting here and we come into the playoffs, and you have like 3, maybe 4 teams that are fighting for 6 or 5, 6, 7, 8, and then like 9 and 10, like you have like those teams like all fighting right there. But then because we lost our season series to 3 of them, we're down right there at the 8 and 9 instead of being up with the cushion at 6 and 7. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So,
yeah. Or I mean, we obviously rules have changed a little bit with division records and all that kind of stuff in the past, maybe like 10 years or whatever. But we've seen where we could lose a game, or because, like you said, because of little tiebreakers, we can change maybe like 3 or 4 seeds. You know what I mean? Hey, if we would have just won this one game, we would have ended in like the 6th or 7th, 6th spot. But instead, since you lost it, now you're the 9th seed. You know what I mean? It's like, what the hell? Like it could definitely happen. So like, those are the things that like are making my ears perk up, like right when I see like a matchup like this. So I mean, this is one of the ones. Luckily, the Spurs have done a pretty okay job at like showing up for the big games. We haven't won them all, but we've I don't think we've really like dropped too many eggs against like the really good teams. We've showed up. So man, I need this one. I need this one. I don't know if the Spurs need it, but I need it.
Mm-hmm. The Spurs need all of them.
Yeah. I mean, exactly. You know, we just need them. We just need them all. So, luckily for us, you know, we'll have a little bit more of a manageable matchup against Orlando. Does anybody have anything else that they want to add going against? I think we kind of know what we're getting. They're pretty solid all the way through. So, we just need to execute. They're doing really well. I looked it up. Since February, they've won 10 out of their 14 games. So I mean, you know, they've been doing the things that they need to do. So we gotta do the things that we need to do.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
Let me see. I'm gonna dang, I was gonna bring this up and I totally forgot. Jake, remember I had that screen share of the tweet.
Yeah, you can put it up during the second half discussion though. Like
We'll bring it up here in just a little bit. So we got one more game. We got one more game on this week. It's a pretty short week for us, which is great because the next week is going to be a crazy one. But so let's move on. On the 12th, we'll hit up the Orlando Magic. So this is the game that we misread the schedule last week and we thought it was last week. So in our heads, Jake, we already beat this team.
Exactly. Yeah, so let me go ahead and try and find them real quick. Yeah, so just real quick, just to kind of show you again. Aaron Gordon's out, Cole Anthony's out, John Isaac, Markelle Fultz, and James Ennis. Evan Fournier should be back by the time we play them later this week, right? But other than that, I mean, this team is a very beaten down, very hurt team right now, especially because they have lost two of their guards. I wonder if they are starting Michael Carter Williams. But you know, two of their guards right there. Same thing with Aaron Gordon, who's not a bad shooter overall. And then obviously John Isaac, who was their young corner piece for the future, you know. So he's definitely a guy that had a lot of upside. He had really good defensive potential and solid offensive potential too, man. He can still be good, but he's had a couple injuries that have definitely halted his progress so far. Mm-hmm. But I mean, it's Vucevic and who knows? Honestly, this is definitely something that I've been seeing around town is that teams are looking to trade for Vuce. So we'll see. Maybe we play in Orlando Magic without Nico Vuce at the end of this week. You know, that could happen.
Just real quick to add you when you showed that IR list. Gordon out 4 to 6 weeks. February 1st was that first date. So by March 12th, that is like almost to the end of a 6th week. So that like we're at that point we're sitting at like 5 weeks and some change. So the possibility of Aaron Gordon being back in the lineup as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, that's good. And then let's see.
Same thing for Cole Anthony. Look, it says that he won't return before
he just won't return before the All-Star break, but he might come back this. Okay.
Yeah.
So, I mean, who knows? Maybe they do have Cole Anthony and Aaron Gordon back by then. Either way, though, I feel like this is definitely a team that
we should beat.
Yeah, like these injuries and stuff like that. This should just be a team that we come in and take over pretty much. You know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I mean, can you scroll down? Do they have any like who's their backup for Vucevic? Do they have any like young? I mean, yeah, young rim runners and
it looks like it's this person, Mr. Birch. Let me see if I can pull him up in a new tab so that we can get the actual name. But him and then Mo Bamba, obviously, but Mo Bamba hasn't been playing a lot of games.
Yeah.
Hey, I'll trade for Mo.
I don't know if we trade LA. Cam Birch.
He's a
6'9" center for them.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. I was just curious because
he's played 35 games this year, so I mean I assume that he is there.
That seems to be some of our bugaboos is like these young athletic big men on the second units who are, you know, I mean like Claxton did really well. with Brooklyn, and really it was just like even when Yak was out there, he would just beat him, like he would just lose sight of him for like 1 second, and now Claxton is gone away from you, and that was enough. You know what I mean? So those are like the things against a team like this that I'm like trying to keep my eye out for. Are there any of those guys that like if they just give you a good spark and we're just not as tight as we need to be, it can go the wrong way for you? You know what I mean?
Yeah. I definitely get that, and I mean, who knows? Honestly, like if we don't play our cards right, we might get 50-pieced by Voos. You know, it might drop something on us. Bro, he's killer. He's an all-star for a reason.
True, but I mean,
that's flawed. That's a flawed system. I don't care. I don't care what you say.
What? I mean, he's still. I mean, like, it's still like. Obviously, there's the questionable things like Mike Conley getting in over DeMar DeRozan, obviously, right? But, like, at least in the East and stuff like that, like you know that that there's not as many people to be battling against to be called an all-star. Yet, you have to understand that. I mean, at least if you get called an all-star, you at least know that these guys are putting up something to know that they are good enough to be up there, at least, you know, even if he isn't as good as the other people like the ADs, LeBrons, or whatever, right? He's still good to be an all-star. Like, I mean,
yeah, I mean he's doing his work. He's played 36 games, so he's stable. He's putting in decent. I mean, he's our only guy over 30 minutes, putting up 24 a game. So I mean, yeah, he's holding it down.
That's nearly 25 and 12. Like, that's good. It's a good center, and obviously he doesn't really have another person to help him. So I mean, you see, if honestly, you know, I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Nico get traded to a team like the Celtics or get traded to any, you know, any contender, just so that he you start seeing that he starts contributing.
I thought you were gonna say it, dog. I thought
a team like the Celtics, or even like a team like, I mean, I don't know if he'd want to get traded to the Heat just because just because Bam's already their center, but. I mean, you know, he gets traded to a contender that. I mean, I wouldn't be. That wouldn't be crazy, but at the same time, like that's.
Yeah, right. Anything to help out your favorite team, obviously.
Either way, though, he gets traded to a contender, starts putting up good numbers there. Definitely show his worth.
You know, but I want to give him his props too, and give him his proper respect in the terms of the Spurs. Sometimes, man, when other teams have a decent big to plug up the paint, sometimes our guards, like, they don't try to push through him, or I don't know if they get afraid of the rim, or if they just like don't feel like the drives are there, or what, or if we just get baited into playing out more on the perimeter. But sometimes, man, just like one solid defensive stance in the paint, and our guys don't really try to break through it. Keldon is a guy who will try, but Keldon's been missing a lot, right? We've been going with Lonnie and DJ and stuff like that, and those guys don't necessarily seek out that contact all the time. So another reason, again, these are just the things that pop up to me. It's like when I see us playing them, what are some potential things that can like give us some grief? And maybe he holds down the fort, and we just don't really get comfortable driving to the rim against Orlando that night. You know what I mean? So I want us to not be afraid and to really keep attacking, especially if he's by far their best player in terms of production. Attack him, make him tired, make him, he can't score 24 and get and really hold down the offensive end the way he needs to. And if every time he's getting banged up by Yak, and when he finally comes off of Yak, it's because a guard is coming right at his chest. You know what I mean? So like, those are the things that I want to see. Yeah, for sure. I mean, like it's definitely going to be a fun matchup, because obviously it's not just Vucevic out there and stuff like that, but like, that team doesn't look good enough to, like, I feel like, we'll be able to handle business even if Vuce does go off. But it's still crazy, we're going to be going against a guy that he's a center, and he's nearly putting up a 50 40 90 season. That's good. So this will be good. I mean, like, I don't watch them enough to know, does his points come off of like post ups, or do they move around a lot and try to get him looks easy, right, like easy dumps at the rim, or does he just maybe get not half of his points, but a bulk of his points come from putbacks on his guards' drives, like those kind of things?
Either way, understanding that he's shooting 41 from three is
sure. So
like that's you understand that he can space it at least, like he's a good spacer, so it's like we'll see what they do. Obviously he is their focal point, he is their offense.
So this will be a fun. We've been talking at the beginning of the year. We talked so much about like Keldon and some of the guard matchups that we were going to be seeing. So this would be a good opportunity to see Jakob defensively. It's like what can you do to kind of stymie their star player? You know what I mean? That'll be fun. That'll be fun. And if he can do a good job, then maybe that kind of opens up somebody else. I don't know. Maybe it opens up our four to have a good game down low or something like that. I don't know.
For sure.
All right. Well, I don't think that we have too much more to add on to those guys. I think we all agree that we want to respect them and then hopefully execute enough, and we should be able to pull out that win. So let's just real quick before we kind of get out of here is take one more look since we didn't have Josh here with us last week. Wanted to bring up the second half schedule, right? So Jake, do you have that one?
I don't have it pulled up. No, I can find it real quick.
So we have I think I actually have it from last week if I remember correctly. So just so we can continue to kind of we'll get Josh's I guess his view on like the overall like the Spurs schedule moving forward, but then also we'll take it one step further. So I have it, Jake, if you want me to share it.
All right, sounds good.
All right, let me pull that up then real quick. Whoops.
Just to kind of recap what I had said about this about it. I was at first it was really scary. We have a lot of back-to-backs, all that kind of stuff. Now I'm like I'm excited to see what we're gonna do. A lot of Eastern Conference matchups.
Yeah, I'm glad that we have our youth now. I feel like our youth is gonna help us whole second half, man.
Yeah, it's gonna be pretty frantic, right? We're gonna play a lot of games and not a lot of time. So obviously we're way up here. We're starting with the Mavericks and the Magic for this week. But like Josh, is there anything that kind of sticks out to you? It could be March as a whole, April as a whole, May as a whole, like however you're.
It's mostly the second half as a whole as far as the East. Like we have to take care of business. Like we have to. Like, and you look at the whole March, like. You see Dallas and Philly, Milwaukee,
Clippers.
And then the Clippers. But like everybody else, man, I think we could beat everybody else. Like, and when I say beat them, I think like I believe that we should beat them, like no questions. And I feel like we could hang in with everybody else, man. Yeah. And I said this the whole year, like going night in and night out. Like, do I think that we could win every single game? Yes. There hasn't been a team that I like. We're gonna get our ass kicked tonight. Like I don't feel like that with this team. I don't. So I mean, we're gonna see. We're gonna see how we put it together. Hopefully some good dubs.
It's definitely gonna be fun. It's definitely gonna be fun to see a lot more of these Eastern Conference teams that we haven't gotten a chance to see. And Jake, we were talking a little bit about like the DeMar DeRozan not getting selected for All-Star break, and that kind of ties into this week too because this is the All-Star weekend. But one thing that we forgot to mention, and I really forgot where it came from now, Jake. We were talking. I think it. So when we were talking about our DeMar DeRozan talk, we forgot to mention. So I think it was the Order on the Court Spurs show that also comes out on YouTube and other places if you guys haven't seen them. But they had brought up a really good point. One of their guys had brought up a good point of the coaches who vote on All-Star reserves and all that kind of stuff. Maybe a lot of these Eastern Conference coaches just haven't seen DeMar yet, and they just they don't. Maybe that is a fact, and I think that is probably is something that came into effect. So we'll get a chance to see a lot more of them, and DeMar will get a chance to show these coaches who exactly who he is. Now the flip side of that argument is this boy was in Toronto for how many years? You know who DeMar DeRozan is.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And he's having one of his best seasons of his one of the, if not the best season of his career.
If you can contextualize an all-star vote for Chris Paul and contextualize an all-star vote for Mike Conley based off of like not only what they're doing this year but things that they've done in their career, then OMG, what the hell? Like you can contextualize an all-star vote for DeMar DeRozan.
And we had just gotten a notification from the Adrian Wojnarowski saying that that Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid aren't playing in the All-Star game today.
They're not?
Because they're not. No,
I thought it said that it was possibility.
That was at the beginning of the show. They said possible, so that means it's development.
And so now they're
you know what?
Been saying this stuff, and the thing is though is that they're saying at this late hour, no plans to replace them either.
Exactly. Question then, real quick. If they're out for safety protocols, that's usually what, a 10-day process. Are
they
that would put them out. That would put them possibly out. We play them 7 days from right now.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe we're looking at a Philly team that doesn't have Ben Simmons or.
And you know what? I just looked, right. You look at the March schedule. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10, 11, 12, 13 games.
13,
yeah. Okay, so 13 games, and then the only standouts that I see were the Clippers, Milwaukee, and Philly.
Yeah.
Right, and so that's four. So I think that's like 9 dubs at least. I'm hoping, right, best case scenario. And if you take those guys away from Philly, that's 10. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and we're gonna need it because I mean take a look at take a look at May. We got Philly double against the Jazz. We get Portland, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, and then a double against Phoenix. And whether Phoenix is whatever you think about their team as a whole, it's still going to be an important series to play them back to back because they're playing well. We
play them in April too.
Another one of those teams that's like a 4 to 5.
But even if their role
get knocked down, you know.
Yeah, or even if their role is
Phoenix is number 2 right now.
Exactly. So even if their role when we play them in May is just to try to be like spoilers for us and trying to knock us down a couple pegs or whatever, it's going to be important to get those wins. So I mean, yeah, if like Josh was saying, if we can start stacking some wins in March, and then let's looking ahead to April, what are the standouts?
It's the same. Like I see
maybe Denver, right?
Denver,
Dallas,
and that's it.
Well, I mean,
Toronto.
I would say
Toronto.
Yeah, I would say.
No, but those I'm telling you, whenever I think of our guys, do I think that we could beat those? I absolutely.
Well, yeah, I get you.
When I see the Denvers, when I see those guys, I'm just like, oh, those are gonna be tough. But whenever I think of whenever you're saying the Indianas, the Torontos, my thing is if we put it together, we can put it together, we're beating those guys.
Those are the same teams that just if you're the Lakers, you look at the Spurs in the same light that you look at Toronto, the same light that you look at the Trailblazers, the same light that you look at Phoenix and Indiana. And honestly, Phoenix is above them right now. So
but you're using LA. You're using LA, which is like the upper echelon. And what Josh is all Josh is saying is that in his upper echelon teams, like those teams, that there's only about 3 or 4. That's all he's saying. That's all he's saying.
The point I'm saying though is that they're in the same look.
They're all in like the second batch. Yeah, exactly.
And so it's you can't just go into these games
so where do you have us?
looking at them like, oh yeah, we can just take care of business. No, you have to look at these games and be like, all right, we need to be more prepared for Toronto.
No.
I feel like we need to be even more prepared for the games against the second batch teams.
Like I said, I don't have to do anything like that. I can look at them and judge them the way I see them because I'm just a guy on a show. Yeah, you're right. If you're a coach, that's exactly what you tell your players. But no, whenever I see us and I see I think that we are better at when we play ball, we can play ball. I think that we're better than a lot of teams. And I feel like you don't. You're always saying, hey man, but if they play good too, I'm like, yes, I understand that, Jake. But I think that we could be whenever I think of the East, when I think of the East, I think of the Brooklyns, right? I think of Milwaukee's, like, and I know Miami went to the finals last year. I know, but whenever I think of that team, I'm just like, oh yeah, I think we could beat them. I think we could beat them tonight if we played them tonight. Like I do. And then when I think of the like, it's like three of the top, maybe more in the West. Right? When I think of the Denvers and the Clippers and the Lakers, I'm just like, man, those are gonna be rough. Then I start getting, oh shit, man, we're either gonna get blown out or we're gonna be
Dang,
making.
Josh just skipped right over Utah again.
Well, no, yeah, but we played them. We played them one time. Like, and we got our asses kicked. Like, I want to.
Yeah,
they did beat us that one time. Like we've played the Lakers multiple times already. You know what I mean? Like,
I get what you're saying.
You're right. Yeah. You're right in that aspect. Obviously, I don't look at our team and I'm just like, oh my goodness, lottery team. No, I'm not like.
That's what you said.
Well,
that's what
that was
said,
at the beginning of the year. That was at the beginning of the year.
Don't take that shit back.
We're into the season. I'm looking at us now, and the way that I grasp it though is that like yes, I could say that we are better than these teams, but like I mean, it still just happens to the point when we're just not, when we shoot ourselves in the foot and we lose to a lottery.
That's what I'm saying. Whenever we lose, they don't beat us because they're better than us. They beat us because we beat us. So I'm just like, dang, if we take care of business, like we can take care of business, we're gonna win those games.
Yeah,
we have not lost. We have not lost a game where we just came out and they whipped our ass. Like we're just not that team. Like we are that team. We just we do it to ourselves. Like we do it to ourselves.
I get what you mean,
and that's exactly why I say
that's why we always have to start taking into account that we just don't play consistent. That we just don't play as consistent as we should. So then that's when we have to say, all right, now we look into eventually we start getting into the week by weeks, right? And so then we go into April and we start looking at that week. I honestly couldn't tell you what games are going to be played in the same week. You know, if we play Toronto, Portland, Phoenix, and Indiana, if we're going to play all those, 16, 17, 19, so that might be like to me, that looks like a Friday, Saturday, Monday type of week. You know what I mean? So let's just say we are playing Portland and Phoenix in the same week, right? And so it's like, that's a back-to-back, and we don't do good on back-to-backs. We haven't, we can be consistent enough, but why would you take, because why would you not try to take into account the fact that we're playing a back-to-back?
Well, I'm just saying, look at the schedule.
And obviously that's a little bit later in the week. I get what you mean in terms of just looking at it from a full view of
yeah,
just look at the team and you're like,
I'm just saying, like, just look at the schedule, like, as a whole, right? When I'm just gonna take March because we're coming into that, right? Mm-hmm. But when you see other than Dallas, right? I'll throw a question mark because it's a division game, right? Those are always tough, right? But when you see Orlando, and then we just talked about Philly possibly not having those guys. So you said that we could beat Orlando, right? Like, you see that game, that's 1. Philly, maybe they're shorthanded and say we can get that. That's 2. Do I think we could beat Detroit? Yeah, that's 3. Do I think we could beat Chicago? Yes. 4. Do I think we could beat Cleveland? Yes. That'll be like a 5-game win streak if we could just handle our business going into a tough matchup like Miami, right? So and then say we knock off Miami. I mean,
you mean Milwaukee?
Is it Milwaukee? Milwaukee. I'm sorry, Milwaukee, right? And then we got Charlotte, which we already handled business against Charlotte. So that's possibly big. Long chunks of winning of our guys, buying into this. Hey, we're kicking ass. We're gonna, we could do this. And then we go in there and play the Clippers. And that's why I see a lot of these easy games. And then same thing to start April. I think we could beat Atlanta, Indiana, Cleveland, going into the Denver series. So I give our guys I get what you're saying. We're up here. You know what I mean? Look at the schedule. You see the easy games around it that you can just get momentum, go into these games, and then if we're playing right, I think we could beat anybody.
And I mean, it's not, of course, and it's not like I don't look at it in the light of I think these teams are gonna beat us. I just go in with the caution of all these circumstances.
Yeah, you got to see. You got to see what the strengths are of the team. But and so I get what Josh is saying, about how he can see a path of building consistency, whereas you're saying what we've shown though. So
we've had a rough schedule. We played good teams.
Yeah.
But,
so we're
gonna have another rough schedule. This is
it's one of the tougher ones.
Chris, if you want to go ahead and show that
I saw that the Spurs have like up there with the toughest schedule.
Well, and I'll bring it up real quick. So because this is fitting into kind of where you guys are at, right? A little bit. So I'm gonna share this real quick. It'll just sit on top. So this was an exchange that I just took a screenshot real quick on Twitter, right? So this is at Spurs DJ LW. And this was his viewpoint of like the Spurs coming off the OKC loss, right? So 18-14, 7th seed, only one game out of the 8th, and going into a 4th hardest schedule. Sigh, what a letdown, right? So this is like his view, contextualizing how we finished the last 3 games. And he's not really lying when he just gives us our record, our seed, 1 game out of 8th, and saying that we have a tough schedule, right? So if you put it in that regard, you're like, okay, that's kind of a bleak outlook, but and I think that that's kind of leaning more towards like where Jake comes from, which is just like you got to look at your opponents and see like what can they do well and what do we kind of have trouble with. You got and then you kind of flip it, right? And you see this response down here where it says Jim Huzzah, right? 2 bad losses this week, but going into a lot of weird things happen in the second half of the season. Every team is going to have a compressed schedule, and the Spurs have shown great depth, right? So the reason that I wanted to bring up this exchange is just because it showed like I think a pretty good contrast between how you could view our season so far. We have played pretty inconsistent, and it's led to us losing some of these games where this guy says, man, what a letdown. But if you flip it and you say, well, everybody's going through those fluctuations. We have depth. We have the tools to start to put it together. These are the good. This is like the good possibility of what we could have. So I think that you guys are both like right around the same place. You know what I mean? So shout out to these 2 guys. I enjoyed seeing that back and forth. But I mean, I think it would be interesting, Josh, when you're looking at this March, like I'm right there with you. I think a lot the same way when I see this. I'm like, yeah, we can win, right? But I bet if we were to go back and look at like let's say February schedule or January, just looking at the schedule, you would probably be like, oh yeah, we can win this game, and go into a good game against this team, and then this. But then when you look at like how it actually went down, you see all the other factors that came in, and I think that that's all that Jake is trying to say is that obviously there's a ton of factors, right, of that's going to be going into
at all the time, but that still doesn't change. I understand the factors, and just the way you said, there's a ton of factors, like you said, it goes both ways, so it's on them too. Like everything that we're going through, they're going through the same thing. So do I still like thinking that? Do I still feel like sometimes?
I feel like sometimes the way that you bring things out though, you always bring it out in the limelight of, oh yeah, we have our factors keeping us up and they have their factors keeping them down. Like no. It does go both ways. And the way that you always bring things up is like, oh yeah, we're doing this good, we're doing this good. And then we don't talk about what they're doing good. We talk about what they're doing bad, and then we don't talk about what we're doing bad. So it's like
I'm like more like I'll just say like I'm optimistic. This is exactly what I say, right? I think that whenever we're on this show, like I'm not gonna down our guys. I'm never gonna be like, hey, we're gonna lose this game, guys. You'll probably never hear me say that on this show. And you're just like, we're
not gonna hear any fans say we're gonna lose this game,
right? But what I'm saying, like I just try to highlight the things that we do because that's what this is, right?
But you can't. You can't look at all the good and none of the bad. You have to take into account.
I talk about our bad, and I know we have our bad, but I think our bad is correctable. Like I said, we've lost games that I feel like we just shot ourselves in the foot. Like that's how we lose our games.
And Jake, when he and Josh was saying earlier, like, yeah, well, you know what, like that's something that if you're a coach, you tell your players that, well, you do kind of have to all go into every game, even though the coaches, they know what they're dealing with in terms of, man, well, I really can't rely on this guy that much right now because of this injury or because of something that's going on or because of how he's been playing, recently or whatever. But you do go into every game saying, if we are hitting all of our aspects at the highest level we can, which is the goal, then we feel good about this game, even if their team is hitting all of their highs at their highest as well. You know what I mean? Like that's the mindset you go in. Is like if everybody's playing well, we still feel like we can win. You know what I mean? I think that's kind of where Josh is coming from. It's like regardless of all of that, it's like if we're playing well and they're playing well, we can win.
I understand that
yeah,
sometimes those random guys, go off against us. I understand that, but and like whenever I just look at our team like matched up against their team, I'm just like, if we play perfect and they play perfect, I think our perfect's a little bit better. That's how I feel. Like
no, yeah,
a lot
I
of
get
these teams, and then like obviously we do play like the Brooklyns, and they just got James. Not everybody's James Harden, and not everybody's Kyrie. So like obviously they're gonna same thing. If we play perfect and they play perfect, their perfect's gonna, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. No, yeah,
and I do feel like I'm super high on this San Antonio team, because even if we don't do a lot this year, like I think I've already said we're gonna make the playoffs, but like going into next year, it's gonna be the same team. Like we're gonna have the same team. We have our young guys, and I feel like these guys can take us, man. I do, and I'm really high on this team. And maybe we need one guy here, one guy there. We lose a guy here, whatever. But like the core, right? The core, I feel like they can take us. I feel like they will take us. Hopefully sooner than later. Hopefully,
I definitely understand what you mean from that point, and obviously like I think the only thing for me is that I do look more into the in-depth factors a little bit more, which kind of leads me to be more cautious on the end of saying we're gonna win every game. Like I'm gonna look at it from a standpoint of like, okay, this is what's been happening for both sides. This is both of us coming into this game. So this is how I feel, and even like just to kind of go into the next week. Next week, yeah, we do have a semi-easy schedule in that, especially if Philly doesn't have Ben Simmons and Joel Embiid, like we're playing a damaged Philly team and then Detroit, right? But that's a back-to-back. We have not done good back.
Yeah, that's a so like that. Actually, next week is a perfect example of like what you guys are talking about, because if you just look at the schedule, or if you take it more from Josh's point of view, you can easily see us going like 4 out of 5 or 5 out of 5 if Philly doesn't have their players. But if you look at it from Jake's point of view and you see that we're playing 4 games in 5 nights,
yeah, and
you know what I mean?
And that's why I say like our young guys, because we didn't have like the Luka. Like Luka's coming. I don't know if Trey's going to be missed, but this is why I say we need to handle our business, because the Cleveland game, right? We play Cleveland, then we play Milwaukee. I think that's back to back. Is it 1920? Okay,
yeah.
Okay, so if we could handle our business, I'm just going to throw that example. Like if we could handle our business against Cleveland and like the New York game, you know what I mean? And we have a sizable lead in the second half, and then we're going to go out there with Trey, with Trey Jones, I'm saying, or like and Luka, and play our back end of our, and then like let's just say Devin, and because hopefully we have all our guys back, and hopefully we have no more COVID, or whatever. But like if we could get all of our young guys to close these games out, I mean they're going to be fresh. Like they're in their 20s. They're young. They could handle this rigorous schedule. Like they could do that. So that's why I say we need to take care of business, because if you look on the first games of the back-to-back are winnable games. So if we handle our business and we get Philly, barring right the
injury,
Ben Simmons and
the virus,
mm-hmm. right, but you know what I'm saying, right? So and I think that helps us, because I would love for DeMar to sit the whole fourth quarter and then come out super fresh against Milwaukee. I would love for them, you know what I mean? Like, so that's what I'm saying. Like our youth is going to help us. Our depth is going to help us. Just like that, I forget, you threw up that tweet, right? Like we have a lot of depth, like we do. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of a problem this year, right? We can't play everybody.
Don't have minutes to.
Yeah. So like, hopefully this schedule is going to get everybody involved, because we're going to have some guys, damn, I'm a little tired this game, whatever. Mm-hmm. All right, next man up, bam, 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 bam. And it's going to be like that. And I don't know. I think I'm super optimistic about this, especially playing all this East. And I think we had a graphic last week, right? The only game we lost against the East was that the Brooklyn game, right?
Oh, you mean from out of the games from last week?
No, out of the year.
Out of the year, the season. The first half of the year.
We've only lost one game against the East, and that was against the Brooklyn Nets.
Mm-hmm. But we haven't really played many games against
that's what I'm saying. We've had a rough, we've been beating each other up in the West as far as us. So I want to go over here, see what we're about against these guys, see if we could handle our biz and go about our
that's a good outlook for the rest of the year, because if like Josh is saying, if we go and handle our business against just only won all the Eastern Conference games,
and we're probably still up there.
you know what I mean? Like that. Like it's a lot of wins. You know what
I
I
don't
mean?
know about all that. If we win,
Yeah.
you're right. It is a lot of games, but there's definitely all the other teams that have this not necessarily the same schedule, obviously, right? But
Yeah.
there's gonna be those teams that also have more Eastern Conference games, less Western Conference games.
But
And
honestly, it's only the top half that we got to worry about, because I was looking at earlier and I feel like we got
if we lose games against those
Phoenix, you're talking about
West
Phoenix?
teams, especially because like we haven't played Phoenix at all, and that's a team that like even though they are the second seed, like we've said multiple times throughout today, there's
It's just gonna matter. It's just gonna matter.
so
Yeah.
many
So.
teams that are right there neck and neck from that 10 through like 4 and 3. You know, like it doesn't. There's not really a big.
Yeah, I think what I meant though is like if we take care of our business, especially at the beginning of this, the March and April, if we take care of our business, that's gonna set us up to now put us in that position to compete for the places that we want to compete for. You know what I mean?
For
So,
sure.
all right. Well, I think that's a good. I think that was a good talk. Just kind of looking ahead. You know, as we have the weekend off for All-Star break.
Mm-hmm.
I'm right there with you guys. I'm very excited because it's going to be a lot of basketball in not a lot of time. So we're just going to get a chance to really see what we're about. You know what I mean? Yep. We're hoping for health. We're hoping for we're hoping for all of those outside factors to kind of manage themselves in a good way so that we can have the best, the best foot forward going into these games so that we can cheer on our guys, man. Because like Josh said, on any given night, I'm the same way. You're never going to hear me say that we're going to lose this game. You know what I mean? So,
real quick though,
ahead,
just because I kind of wanted to ask this question too. But like, what do y'all think are kind of like, I guess, like X factor? Who do y'all think is going to be needing to take like that next step in order to keep us rolling? You know what I mean?
I don't know. It's hard. I think Keldon and Lonnie, right, were in like a slump going in, and then I know Keldon was out for a little while. Mm-hmm. Lonnie picked it up. He started playing better. Now we have this little break, so probably both of those guys.
Yeah. I mean, and it's crazy. Again, we've had Derek White for almost none of this year so far.
Yeah, and that's a big thing too. Like Derek. Maybe if we had Derek, we wouldn't have lost the OKC, both of those OKC games, and the damn. I'm trying to think. Just those bad losses that we had at the beginning of the season.
That's definitely something. It's definitely something
the first New Orleans loss was pretty ugly.
We've had some games that were just like, what the heck, there's no way we should have lost that, but we didn't have, you know what I mean? So
yeah. So Jake, I would say like X factor wise, if anything, it's just health of our young guards. Because same. I think that Derek White coming back is going to be a huge, obviously a huge boost. But I'm still there with Josh on KJ and Lonnie. Like KJ started out the year really well and then just got into a shooting slump. I think people started to figure out his drives a little bit more as well. And then Lonnie like just felt like he was taking himself out of the flow a little bit for a good stretch. And then me personally, I think in the last maybe 4 games or so from him, his numbers might have been up and down and his percentages might have been up and down, but I think his energy and his flow within the team has been a lot better. So,
he looked good as a playmaker. He was making some good passes, and a lot of those were like they weren't even his. They were like hockey assist. He would make the right pass, so they could make the right pass, and then it was good.
I think that's one of the things that I'm scared for because I want him. He's the one that I've had my eye on for the most part this entire season, and just kind of had like the magnifying glass of like, all right, what are we gonna see from Lonnie, right? And obviously, for the most part, I've been the one out of all 3 of us that's just kind of been a little more low on him compared to what Josh thinks, compared to what Chris has said about him. But I still just kind of want him. I want him. We're seeing that energy, but we're seeing that energy when it's only when like there was the game against OKC, the first game against OKC, when it was literally just him and DJ. You know what I mean? And we saw these energy plays and stuff like that when we had incomplete rosters. Yeah. I need to start seeing him put a little bit more on the table when we have everybody on the everybody here,
Yeah, and we'll see. Like, do they move him to the second unit when we finally get everybody back and all that kind of stuff?
And so I mean, like obviously there's a bunch of factors that play that Lonnie doesn't have. Lonnie doesn't get the choice of whether or not he is either in the starting lineup or on the second unit, or even like if the play is set for him. You know what I mean? But they still like are now those little opportunities that he has. I need him to start kind of picking it up just a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I get that. I get that.
Same thing goes for, obviously we already said Keldon, and for me, same thing kind of goes for I guess like a Devin in a sense. He's still playing inside of what his capabilities are. We're in the second half of the season now. I kind of want to see him just maybe, obviously not, he doesn't have to take like obviously huge step forward and stuff like that, but like just to know that like he's being able to progress a little bit. You know what I mean? He's a young player and he's gotten his time in the NBA. Now let's see him just start to make a little bit more better choices, or be able to knock down maybe just like one more shot, 2 more shots that night. You know what I mean? Like those little things that I just kind of want to see, like Lonnie, Devin, where you already said Keldon. I'm trying to think of other of like our other like.
Let me ask this question, because I asked it last week or maybe it was 2 weeks ago. I can't remember, but obviously it's gonna it's super important again, which is like, do you think we just hang on to Luka for the rest of the year? Do you think he doesn't go back to Austin?
No, no
right? Because I would say if you asked me a week ago, it was like maybe like you could feel that like he was doing well, but like if we got Rudy and everybody back, it's like, well, he's probably gonna lose minutes and this and that. But I mean, I think he's definitely fighting for a spot for sure.
But I think the G League bubble is ending in like this month or next.
Yeah, you're right. So then we're just gonna,
because like playoffs already.
Yeah, you are correct. You are correct. So yeah, never mind. Throw that away.
So we are probably keeping Luka, right? But that like and same thing. Obviously, it's a little less expectations for Luka just because Luka didn't get the PT that Devin got. But like now let's just more towards like that May part. Whereas like right now I'm saying like halfway through March, more into April, I want to start seeing Devin start taking a little bit more of a jump. Obviously not like a huge, but just like a little jump, right? More towards that end of April into May portion. I want to start seeing Luka just be able to kind of show that like, he had that one night where his arc looks beautiful, but he had that one night where he went like 1 for 5 from 3. Well, now I want to see him just be like 2 for 5.
But that's maybe okay. Like he got to shoot that. He got to shoot that.
You have open looks. Like, you take those
opportunities. Whenever you talk about shooting percentages, like I'm not even tripping about shooting. I feel like those. Like,
I'm just saying that like if just start adding a little by little. You don't have to. I'm not saying make those huge jumps, but I'm saying
I was gonna, like, even if Jake is saying like go for 2 for 5, that might not even be just make the shot. It could just be like maybe he got to his spot a little bit sooner and that gave him the better look, or you know what I mean, like just making those little decisions that equal better production, little things that can help across along the way. You know what I mean? So I get what Jake is saying, and like Josh was saying, we're gonna need to have our depth be a strong point for the team. So we are, we'll probably have some decent opportunities over the course of March, April, and May to see Sheldon, to see Vassell get a little bit more, just to see a couple more opportunities to see what he's going to do. Luka will get the same. Obviously, those guys' development is more tied to like the next couple years, not just now. But I think we'll have a couple opportunities to see a little bit of everybody moving forward, and that's what we want, right? We're in the youth movement, so we want to see it all. All right, guys, I think that's a good wrap up point for the week. Don't have too many games to look forward to for next week, but for this upcoming week. But like we had kind of talked about a little bit, the week after we will have 4 games in 5 nights. So if you come back for us next Sunday, we'll be giving our thoughts on the Mavericks game and on the Magic game. But we'll have a lot of good matchups to talk about for that next week. So excuse me. So stay tuned for that. Go ahead, Jake.
Shooting percentage does matter, Josh. I'd rather have a guy go. Have a guy go 3 for 4 rather than seeing a guy go.
When you're talking about that, you're like, oh, and you always say this is what you always say. Well, if we would have hit our shots, like I understand that, like that's the name of the game. If we go fucking 10 for 10, obviously it's better than going 1 for 10. But what I'm saying is, when you see a guy like Luka, I'm glad that he's shooting. Even if he went 1 for 5, I'm glad that he's shooting the ball, because you see the young guys that are just like, no, I don't want to get pulled.
That's where Josh is saying 1 for 5 is better than 1 for 1.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
With our young guys, I understand, right? If LaMarcus goes 1 for 12, you're going to be on his ass because he's LaMarcus Aldridge. You know what I mean? Like he's that guy. But when our young guys are there, I love for them to not be scared to shoot the ball. So if you're going to go 1 for and yeah, you could go 1 for 5 and have like as long as there were good looks, like Chris was saying, as long as you got to your spot, there were good looks. Like, go ahead, you got to shoot all of them, no matter if you're hitting them, and no matter if you're 0 for 5 and that 6th one comes up, you got to shoot that ball. Is what I'm saying.
And that's
for our young guys.
And that's what I like. You know,
obviously, I want them to make the damn ball.
I've heard Chris kind of say this. You know, like it for me, it's just kind of like a step-by-step process. You know, you start to get them to have the confidence to shoot, and then you start to build into the all right. Now start making those shots, right? And so that's why,
or like I said, which is like start to practice the little fundamentals that get you to have more success.
You got to give these guys, right? They're in their first, second season. Like you give them a couple years with Chip, and you see what he did with Tony. You know
somebody
what I mean?
like Lonnie who has been, you know, it's his 3rd year in the league, and he's played a whole first half of the season. Like, and now I'm starting to get to the point where I'm like, all right, Lonnie, you know, at least 1 or 2 of those shots need to start looking a little bit better.
Yeah,
you know what
but
I mean?
you see them, and a lot of those, they're in and out. It's not like he's like, oh man, he just hit
you're right, they are in and out,
but
but it's still the fact that, like, all right, you know, now you gotta start shooting it to where it does just go in instead of going in and out. You know, you're this close to getting it in,
but and this is what I told you about Lonnie. This is exactly what I told you about Lonnie. Chris, you didn't have this conversation. I think Jake was at the house whenever we had this. Like, everything that Jakob is talking like this year, right? Everything that he's saying, oh man, Lonnie. I'm just like, dog, we could have had this conversation last year. Like I feel like all his woes this year should have happened last year. Instead, he was buried behind Marco Bellinelli, which we knew he didn't have a future with San Antonio, and he was buried behind Bryn Forbes, which we knew he did not have a future with the Spurs. And this is exactly what I was talking about. He should have been playing all last year, and then this year I would have accepted the criticism. But it's like, basically, in a sense, this is his 2nd season. Yeah, he played a couple games. Yeah, he had the Houston game. Yeah. But like, in a whole, all this should have been last year because he just sat behind these guys. He just sat behind these guys that were going nowhere with us, and that played horrible. Horrible. Like,
but I mean, look at what our plan was with DJ. Look at what our plan was with Derek.
DJ, and then I told you that too. I'm like, dog, we just like DJ is a prime example because at the beginning of the year you were just like, this guy's not it, and then now you're apologizing. So I'm just like, wait, like, and I hate to say,
that's it. Just wait.
And I hate to say like, wait till next year so that you could, but I don't want that to happen. Obviously, I would love for him to break out right sooner than later, like I said earlier. But like, it's just like, you have to give these guys time. You have to, because you see the Lakers, they just gave up on Julius Randle. They gave up on Brandon Ingram. And you see these guys like flourishing now that they're 25 and 26 years old. And I'm like, dude, Lonnie's 22 years old. He came off a season where he could not find minutes behind these guys for whatever reason. Like, Pop would just play Bryn, even though that guy could not guard a single person. Same thing for Marco. And then Marco was missing everything. All the bad shots that you're talking about this year, like, I don't ever remember you talking bad about Marco last year. Like, he was the guy that was going 1 for 5, and the guy that's been there forever.
Jake was pretty against Marco Bellinelli. Remember Marco came in and hit that 1-3 in the game that Jake went to last year, and we're like, hey, your boy Marco saved the game for us.
Very adamant about Marco not being on the court.
Maybe he was, but I'm just saying, like, God, even then, like, he's a vet, right? He doesn't have a high upside within our organization, at least. And you see him; he's not even in the league this year. I forget he's playing.
I do give what Josh is saying though about
like God, you don't. I hate for you to be like that like critical on these guys.
Look at what we did with DJ.
They pushed these fools out.
We drafted DJ, didn't play at all his first season. Went into the G League, came in his second season, and I what was he doing? He was just playing like kind of backup to Tony, right? Right. Then came in his third season, and what was
he didn't play at all.
His third season was that all right. All. So then his second season was the year that he literally won his defensive team, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that dude was a 29th pick in the draft, had 1 year in the G League where he didn't, you know, like he just developed in the G League, then came in the second year became like obviously, you have like different expectations, different players, right? Yada yada. But like,
but I feel like that's hard because DJ won. Like, I feel like Pop is like, oh yeah, you got that defense, you're on the court, and not everybody could be like DJ because DJ got on the floor
I mean,
because of his defense.
look at who DJ was behind. DJ was literally behind. DJ was literally behind Tony and Patty on like the chart of like, you know, what these guys are doing, because all three of them are guards, you know. So it's like, you know that the minutes that DJ had, even though he probably did have more, he most definitely did have more minutes than what Lonnie did his second season. Still, like DJ was able to, like, he was able to get a second team all defense in the opportunities that he did in his second season.
But
and then
thing, like
obviously,
Patty, I mean, Lonnie's behind DeMar and Derek.
Okay,
like,
but I think this is what Jake is saying is DJ just, you know, he was down in the depth chart and found a way to be successful doing some certain things, and also in tandem with Pop and the coaching staff's plan for him to be our point guard moving forward. Well, I think Jake is just saying if Lonnie can start to realize his potential as our replacement eventually for like our DeMar DeRozan, our slasher, our shooting guard, and start to do a few more things to push himself towards that direction. I think that's all Jake is saying.
No, but I'm just saying that if you look at DeJounte's second season, he was like the defender. Like, and then Lonnie is just not, he's not a defender. Like, that's just the way it is.
We have to find that spot. We have to find that clear-cut role for Lonnie, like we did for
scoring is not our problem right now. You know what I mean? Like, that's like we have too much scoring to go around, like with all our guys, you know. We have guys that could do different things. Like DJ, like,
yeah, he filled the need. Yeah,
like right away, he just fell in that need, and you can make a case that DJ in his second year was probably better defensively, like Tony Parker and Patty will ever be in their careers. Yeah, so like he just
and a really good defender is always going to be very valuable.
Yeah,
but again, I just think that Jake is saying it's you do, you know, in his development, whether he played a lot or not, is as a third-year professional athlete in a really good organization, with what seems to be a plan for him for our future. Let's start to see some of those things start to push the gas a little bit on his development,
right.
You know, and maybe that's up to the Spurs coaching staff to put him in the best positions to start to do some of those things. And maybe we'll see him. I know that me and Jake think that he can be able to shine a little bit more if he goes to that second unit. Maybe we see that, you know, who knows?
Yeah, and I just feel like with NBA, like I feel like you need reps. Like I feel like you need reps.
Yeah.
And I feel like he was robbed of a lot of the reps. That's the thing, man. Like
I
feel like he was robbed of a lot of reps last year.
I definitely get what you mean, because like obviously and DJ was really like the only thing that, like, for me, they both kind of had like that same, like, first year in the G League, second year little opportunities, then this third year for DJ was supposed to be that, like, his this year really, but he just tore his ACL, or not. Was it this year? I don't know. Either way, like it was supposed to, you know, like that third year was supposed to be like that year that he starts to flourish even more, but he tore his ACL, right? And so it just kind of halted him. And then so for Lonnie,
who knows? Like I'm not going to say that helped him, because I hate to say, but like he got to his whole third year, like he just sat on the bench. He watched, and you see how smart he is this year. Like you see, and I feel like you can, like,
maybe Lonnie was learning watching from Bryn and.
I don't think you can learn anything from those guys.
So then still though, like, you know, they both just kind of had similar situations, and then with Derek and Keldon, I want to say that their situations are kind of the same, because like first year G League, but they both also had the opportunities, especially. Keldon at the end of his first year and Derek at the end of his second year, because Derek showed up in the Denver playoffs and Keldon showed up here in the bubble, right? And so then it's like I've seen all of our young guys, even Devin, kind of not necessarily to the extent of the rest of the guys, but even Devin being able to kind of just show a little bit in his first year and being able to take opportunities and move with them. You know, seeing all of our young guys be able to do that, and then just seeing Lonnie kind of, not necessarily, obviously he's making progress, but just seeing Lonnie take slower steps than the rest of them. That's the only thing that I'm like, I just want to see
Derek, and you talk about Derek. Like I said, if you ask me today, like Derek will be 27 this year. Do I think that Lonnie at 27 will be better than Derek at 27? I would say yes. Like, and I feel like you got to give him the time. Like, you have to give him the time.
Right. And I mean, and that's why Derek is the most complete player out of everybody on this. Well,
Yeah,
other than like
because
Tamar
he has a lot of reps. Like, if honestly, did he play 4? Right, he played 4 in
I think so, something like that.
Yeah,
either 4 or 3.
Yeah, right. Wherever he was, and then he went to Colorado, and then now he's over here, and he didn't even get it until his second season. So he didn't even get it till later on, like age-wise. You know what I mean? He was already 24 years old whenever he was getting it. Like, that's still 2 years, you know, for Lonnie. It's still 4 years for Luka. You know what I mean? Like,
we got time.
Yeah, it sucks whenever y'all talk,
for sure.
bring up Derek a lot, like comparing him to Lonnie. I'm like, dude, like. And basketball, I just feel like you need reps, and Derek got. I mean, Derek got all those reps in college.
Even if you take Derek out of that equation, you still have DJ Keldon, and less of Devin. But you still have at least those 2 guys that you could say, yo, you know, these guys were able to take their jumps with their opportunities. You know, eventually, I just need Lonnie to start taking more opportunities.
And that's what I'm saying. He's so young. Don't give up. Like, don't just.
I'm not giving up on him.
You're always not. You're always like.
I haven't said a single thing that has made me say I've given up on Lonnie. No, I've only just said some things of like, man, I wish Lonnie would just be a little bit more of this, a little bit more of this. You know, for me, consistency at the beginning of the season, and so it's like. There's just a couple of things that I'm like, all right, I just need him to build on. And there's a couple things where I just seem like he hasn't built on this stuff.
I know, but what I'm saying, whenever I say you give up, it's like you keep talking, okay, Lonnie, and then you talk so high about Devin. Honestly, what have you seen? Like Devin, like his sample size is so small, but you have nothing.
But he's taking advantage of all that sample size.
What,
Why do you like? Obviously,
but it's too early on Devin. If we judge Lonnie just based off of his Houston game, you know what I mean? You know, then you might think you might think differently of him right now if you just looked at his bright spots from like the past 2 years. You know what I mean? So you know we'll have plenty of time, and especially like Josh was saying, we need reps. The second half of this year, we're gonna have plenty of reps.
Everybody's gonna get reps.
We'll be able to have good conversations on what our young guys look like at the end of a full season, and hopefully what is a full season of them in sole control of this team. Obviously there's the veterans, but I mean, we're in the youth movement now. We know this. So after the hopefully a full season and what hopefully ends up in a good like playoff push of us going and trying to compete for a playoff spot and defend our franchise, then we'll be able to kind of talk a little bit more about what we saw at the end of the year. But I agree with Josh. Like, you know, we're here for the ride, and we have a lot more time ahead of us, right? Versus behind. So, all right, guys, that was a good spirited talk that took us.
No, we had an extra 20 minutes we were supposed to end this 20 minutes ago. And
that's okay. That's all right. Again, we don't have any all-stars in the game this weekend, but we have a lot of development in our team, you know, since the beginning of the year, and that's exactly what we're here for. We're here for all of it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed listening to us talk, listening to these boys go off. I just try to be the middle ground for them sometimes, and we'll be back here. We'll be back here every single Sunday to just keep breaking down more games, keep breaking down more everything that we can when it comes to seeing our Spurs on the court. I think that's it for us for this week. So
to my brothers and my cousin who wants to say that I don't own Spurs jerseys, yes, I do. This is the Tim Duncan jersey. 21, you know, they're saying that I don't have any Spurs stuff. I don't rep the Spurs.
You don't.
Yeah, he's got a good collection going. It's all right. It's all right. You should to save everybody. This is my general rule. During the off season, you can wear all your other jerseys, all the other teams that you want, no matter what. Once we start the season, though, come on, man.
Yeah.
All right. Anyways, I appreciate the going back to the old champion days for today's episode. All right, guys. Well, thanks to everybody who joined in and watched us over the last couple hours. Whether you came in and watched for just a minute or you sat with us for the whole time, we appreciate you. We appreciate you checking us out. Again, we will be here every single Sunday at 10 a.m. We normally go about this hour and a half to 2 hours is what we like to shoot for. But it's always a great time to be able to sit here with my brothers and talk Spurs basketball. We've been stacking a decent amount of wins. We're right in the thick of the battle, like we wanted to be at the beginning of the year. So we'll just keep on pushing all the way through the rest of this year. So that's it. Jake, do you have anything to say? Josh, anything before we're gone?
No, I love all of our young guys.
Oh,
all right.
He's a hater.
Jake is now starting the Lonnie Walker fan club. We'll start accepting applications here pretty soon. So, all right, guys. Thanks for checking us out this week. Enjoy your spring break if you're on it, Texas. If you got it next week, then enjoy it. Then enjoy it next week. Y'all stay safe out there. We're almost through this time that we're living in. Just gotta take care of yourself, take care of each other, and that's it. We'll see you next week, next Sunday. Until then, go Spurs, go, and let's get some more wins.
Peace.
All right. Yeah. Peace out, guys. Thanks a lot.